Hello, my name is Gina, and I met some of you before in a workshop that I did, I guess about 4 weeks ago now, if not a little bit more. That was my first workshop that I did in Washford, and it was supposed to be two more, but unfortunately that was just before quarantine. And we couldn't have any more. So I'm going to do some online workshops, and then I might even get in to see you guys again in the future. But so yeah, if you don't know me, I'm Gina. I'm a hula hooper. I've been hula hooping for about 5 years now, and I absolutely love it. I started hula hooping through a circus society at my university that I went to. So I started off just learning the basics. I learned how to hula hoop on my waist. It took me about a year, so that was slow going, and then I just kind of learned more and more and more from then, and going to circus workshops, circus festivals, conventions. And then I started busking in Washford. Washford's my hometown. And I started busking here on and off, especially over Christmas. That was my first kind of little taste of doing performing, and then I've performed a couple of times doing hula hoop shows, and I've taught workshops before. I bring them with me everywhere I go, so I've brought them traveling. I've just spent a year and a half in South America, traveling all through Central and South America, and I brought my hula hoops with me, and I used them to kind of like top up my money a little bit along the way. So I would just like set myself down in the park somewhere and hula hoop and put my hat out, allow people to throw a little bit of money in if they wanted to. I had my fire stuff with me as well, so I was fire hula hooping along the way, and that was loads and loads of fun. So, long story short, I love hula hooping, and I hope I can help kind of put some of that enjoyment of it into this video, and that I can show you some cool things to do. Myself and Enda met each other at an arts festival in Carlow. We got sent there, we didn't know each other before then. We got sent there with a circus group, a circus and street arts group called Isaacs. So they sent us there together, and then we've just been in contact ever since. And I've been wanting to do workshops for ages, but because I've been away, it never happened. So I'm like super excited to be able to do workshops with him now. So this first video is mostly just going to be talking about where you could get a hula hoop from, or how you could make a hula hoop. We'll also be doing a couple of different tricks as well a little bit later in the video. But the first thing is, if you don't have a hula hoop, the first option is to buy one. So that's not possible for some people. I myself won't be buying any hula hoops right now. But if that's a possibility for you, there is a store called hoopspin.co.uk. She's a hula hooper named Gail, and she's absolutely fantastic. She makes gorgeous hula hoops, and I believe she sends them from Belfast, and she is open. She's making the hula hoops from her home, so there's no quarantine issues. She'll send that off in the post to you, and it may take a little while to get there because the post is a bit slow, but that's one option, hoopspin.co.uk. The other option is if someone in your family is really handy, has like a saw or pipe cutters, you could use some industrial like piping. You need to have a normal like size pipe, and then a small little pipe that goes into it, and then that will help, like the small pipe goes on the inside and the big like pipe seals with the small one on the inside, and then you get your hula hoop like that. It's less difficult, and should be done with adult supervision. So if there's someone that's in your family that can help you make one of them, there's loads of tutorials for it on YouTube. I would leave you look for that yourself. And the last and final option, which is what I'm going to show you in this video, is a cardboard hula hoop. Now, this sounds a little bit strange. It's definitely going to be a little bit of a quirky hula hoop, but it will work for a lot of the moves that I'm going to show you. I'm going to make like a medium smallish one about this size, because that will work for a lot of like the cool kind of hand manipulation stuff that we're going to do. If you want to hula hoop with this hula hoop on your waist, it's going to need to be a lot bigger. So you want to make like a big hula hoop. But it can still be done. If you have enough cardboard and you want to make a big hula hoop, absolutely. You need like 5 or 6 layers. The thicker cardboard, the better, and you will be able to make a hula hoop that can hula hoop on your waist. We're going to focus on a medium-sized one. But if you have the time and the willpower and the energy, absolutely go for it. Make a big hula hoop on your waist. It will work. And you don't need fancy stuff. You don't need to buy a hula hoop. You don't need to make a proper one out of tubing from a hardware store. Just make a cardboard one. So let's get to it. The original person I saw doing this was Hoop Smiles on YouTube. And it seemed like a really cool idea, and it seemed like a way that you could have fun with the hula hoop and not have to get one. You can just make one out of cardboard. So I'll bring you down to my cardboard collection. I was really lucky to be able to find this big piece of cardboard in my house, but you can just get whatever you can find. I also have a cereal box. I have an old just product box. And I have shoe boxes. If you can just like see if your parents will let you raid, I don't know, if you've got a shoe closet, maybe there's some shoe boxes hanging around. I also have just different boxes, loads, whatever I can find. This one is great. So the bigger the better, means less sticking of things together, but it will work either way. Doesn't really matter if it's bendy, it will all come together fine. And thicker is better. The thicker it is, the less layers you have to do. So something like a shoe box like these is quite nice and thick. Is better than something like a cereal box, which is really thin. So yeah. What else do we need? We need a piece of string or a pair of tights, something that's long that you can tie a pen to the end of, and a pen, and scissors, and sellotape. So yeah, let's get started. These are my 2 big pieces of cardboard. This one is a little bit bent at the shape, so I'm trying to kind of flatten it out a little bit, but it's fine. It will be fine the way it is. And so I'm connecting these 2 together because I'm thinking the hoop can, although that is still a little bit small. I wonder, I might cut this section out and put it here. Yeah, I think that's what I might do. So I'm going to cut this section here. The cardboard is thick, it's hard to cut. So maybe you might need someone to help you out. Maybe someone in your family can give you a hand, but the motor on. Okay. So now I'm going to sellotape this together because obviously we need to do our circle, so it needs to be stuck together. So we're going to keep sellotaping this. We might need a couple of layers to really get it stuck together. I'm slightly coming apart because this piece of cardboard is a little bit bent. That's okay. We'll just keep going until we get it more or less stuck together. I'm going to make 1 or 2 go across this way as well. So I have some this way and some this way. And that way we'll hopefully stay together. So, yeah, we're going to go all the way up to the top over here. So that's my 1 lengthway piece of sellotape. It's not sticking that well, so we'll do a crossways one. So we've got a couple going this way along the seam, like this, and then a couple going this way to help make it secure. Again, I'll show you with the close-up on the camera when I'm done. So yeah, there we are. We can see we've got our pieces of sellotape going across for extra support, and we've got our pieces of sellotape going down the middle to connect all of our different pieces of cardboard together. So it doesn't matter how many pieces of cardboard you use, you're just going to have to use more tape. But that's fine, it's more or less sticking together. It doesn't have to be that secure because we can help make it more secure when we cut it out. This is just to keep everything in line. Okay, so I learned a lesson there. Tights is not a good option. So I apologise for recommending that earlier. But I think a piece of string is going to be much better. So I'm using macrame string. You can use any type of string that you have. Or you can use your imagination. I'm sure, I don't know, like a phone cable, or there's got to be loads of things that you can make a length out of. The problem with the tights was that it was too stretchy. So I couldn't get a nice even circle going around because the tights were just like super stretchy. So it wasn't really possible. But we're going to use this pen, or we're going to use this piece of macrame thread instead. So I'll bring it up to the camera. See, I've got my pen and I've just tied it in a little knot with this string, like so. Voila. So we'll try this again. We're going to start in the middle and try and find roughly the middle of your cardboard. So I think mine might be just here. And then you want to hold the string and do a little practice run with your pen. Make sure as it goes around, see, okay, mine is too long there, so I need to make the string a little bit shorter. But you want to just do a practice run, make sure that you string, again, too short. Or too long, silly me. So, alright, this is the perfect length for my string because it fits on my cardboard, the whole way around. So now I'm going to put the pen down on the piece of cardboard and we're going to just start drawing. Okay. Nice, that's good. We'll go over and back once or twice just to try and make sure that we've got the most even line possible. Yeah. My pen is starting to go over and back on the same line a couple of times. So I know that that's where we need to cut it out. Okay, now we'll go around to the other side and do the same thing. Now we need to make another circle that's smaller. So you're going to go about an inch up the string, put it back in the middle, and then make the pen go around again. So you should have a nice gap between the big and the small circle. I think our one can be a little bit bigger than that actually. Okay, perfect. Okay, we'll go around to this side. So here we are. Hopefully you can see that. Now, yes, it looks messy, but we can see a general circle shape. See, this was where some of the mistakes were made, but you can see the line is thicker. So this is where my pen was going over and back. So I think this part here and this part here are going to be where I cut the hoop. These are going to be the most even parts. So we'll take our scissors and we'll just start cutting. So I'm going to put the camera back, I think, but I'm going to be cutting along these lines, roughly. We're going to try and make it as circle as we can, but, you know, let's not get too worked up about it being perfect. If it's just a rough circle, it would be absolutely fine. I've been cutting out the circle, like so. I'm going to keep doing it. So just lift the cardboard, cut around as best you can. That's really tough. These scissors, the cardboard that's so thick. So if you need help, you might have to ask someone in your family to give you a hand. Yeah, hopefully that's okay. It's just, it is a little bit tricky in terms of how hard the cardboard is to cut through. But it's not super difficult, so you might be able to do it yourself. Okay, we're almost there. Exciting. This last little bit's cut out. Yeah, still recording, that's good. Okay, what do we think? It's huge. I wasn't expecting to make my hula hoop so big, but that's great. Why not? So now the next part, if you've used sellotape at any point, you can just clip through some of the sellotape to make life easier, because we now have to cut the inside square out, which is also a little bit tricky, but that's okay. So I'm going to cut along. I'm going to cut slits in the cardboard, because if it's cut on the inside, it makes the circle a little bit easier to cut out, I think. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility with the cardboard. So, okay. Okay. So as it came apart, it's okay, we'll put it back together when it's all cut out. So let's get this back down here. And now we're going along the inside. So we're finding the inside part of the hoop, and we're just going to cut along. Don't worry about, so it looks very flimsy here, this part that I've sellotaped together. Don't worry about that, we'll strengthen it up, we'll fix it up, and it's all good. Okay, so I've just finished cutting it out. This is what it looks like. So it's quite flimsy, as you can see. But that's okay, we're going to strengthen it up. We're going to keep adding layers. So the next step that I'm going to do is this area fell apart while I was cutting it, so I'm just going to sellotape this back together. And this time I have the opportunity to put a couple of layers of sellotape on it. So that's going to help hold it together as well. Lovely, so we'll just line up the two sides and put a bit of tape. Nice. Now we're just going to wrap the tape around like so. Okay, that's number one. This one is also quite flimsy. This is another part that I stuck together from different pieces of cardboard, so we're going to wrap the tape around a couple of times in this section to try and help keep it together a little bit, like so. Okay, so I've now done each section of the hula hoop. I've strengthened it up a little bit. This is section 1. You can see it's a little bit thicker in places. I'm not overly worried about that. So yeah, let's try it. Well, okay, so it is quite flimsy, as you can see. So it's not going to hold up to too much hula hooping. It is definitely really quite flimsy. But I'm not going to worry too much about that. Also, it's really big. It's way bigger than I was expecting to make, but this definitely is the type of hula hoop that you could hula hoop on your waist with quite easily. So I'm actually kind of glad that I've made this size, because I'll be able to show you waist hooping stuff with it as well. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is it all gets easier from here. So yes, this is a long tutorial, but this is really, if you don't have a hula hoop, this is kind of really what you need to do to have a hula hoop to play with. I can't think of anything else you can make a hula hoop with, but if something comes to you, go for it. But this is what we have to work with right now. So we're in quarantine, we're making the best of what we can with the materials that we have. I'm quite excited to try this once I have it strengthened up a little bit. So yes, now this is easier, the next step is easier. We don't need to use our pen and our string and all of that fiddliness. We just use this to trace out more of the circle. So we have this bit of cardboard that we cut out from. Put our newly made hula hoop out of the way for a moment. I'm going to cut this bit of sellotape off. One bit at a time is easier. So we have this bad boy. And now we can trace out the next bit of cardboard that we need from this old piece of hula hoop. So let me turn around to face the camera. It's going to go around like this. Hopefully you guys can see it a little bit better. We have now our next bit of hula hoop. And we're going to trace. So grab your pen, hold down the piece of hula hoop on the cardboard, and just trace around it with your pen. Go over and back a couple of times to try and make the line nice and easy to follow, nice and strong to follow. And go all the way as far as you have cardboard, so go all the way to the end. Because the less pieces you have to stick together, the better. And so we'll go all the way around. So, as far as you can go, and then don't forget you have to do the inside as well, not just the outside. So we're going, oh no, my pen's running out. Ah, we're back. Okay, panic averted. Going around. Alright, wonderful. We have our stencil. Can you see it? Maybe you can't see it. Can you see it? Ta-da! It's not coming out very well on the camera at all, is it? But I've got a line here and a line here. I'm going to follow that around with the scissors. It's quite faint, this one, but I can follow it quite easily. And then we'll have another layer of hay. So we have our new piece cut out. So this is the first piece. I'm just going to get more and more scraps as we go on, that's okay. And this is the second piece that I've just cut out by tracing with this. So now I'm going to line this up with this hula hoop. I suppose I should better find out where I traced it from. It goes to show the hoop is not quite even, but that's going to be just fine. We won't worry about that at all. Let me see. How does it match up? Yeah. Here I think is pretty good. More or less. Again, let's not worry about it too much. So we're going to wrap it in a couple of layers of sellotape at a couple of different points. This will just help it give it strength. It will help keep it together. yeah, this is lined up pretty well. I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay, that's one part. We've got it all wrapped up and sellotaped. Let's go around to our next point just here. Sellotape her up. Okay. Okay, so this is where we're at after I cut and sellotaped the new section of the hula hoop. So you can see that I've cut this in a straight line because it's going to make it easy to attach the next bit that goes along this side. So it's important to remember to cut this bit in a straight line. And I have it sellotaped at a couple of points around the edge. So you see now it's getting nice and thick. Again, it's not even, don't worry about it. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to cut another section that lines up with this. So I could use any bit of cardboard again. I could just use this bit of cardboard. I'm going to use this one. It's part of what I cut out earlier. So hopefully you'll get another view of how this lines up with this camera angle as well. So I'm just continuing going around the hoop section by section, lining each piece up with a new piece of cardboard. And then, where's my pen? I get my pen, and you can see I'll be going along like this, tracing, and then we'll cut it out and we'll stick it together and we'll have, we'll be a little bit further along around the hoop. Okay, see you in a few. Okay, so we're another step down. I've just cut out this new section, and now I'm going to stick it to the first section with sellotape. I'm going to be making sure that it lines up here with the original cutout. I'm just going to sellotape exactly the same way as I did the first one. I just wanted to show you guys how it lines up. Ta-da! Okay, so sorry for the changing camera angles. I'm just trying to get the best view for you for the different parts as possible. So here we go. We are just missing this last little section. So I'm going to be cutting out this last section in a bit. The reason why there's a little section missing is because I cut this out from like the excess cardboard that I used before. So there wasn't quite enough to fill the whole way around, but that's fine. I can cut that out from some other cardboard. I'll just go around for you to see that we've just sellotaped it all together in multiple different areas. It's already way stronger. You can see it's not falling around as much. We can do our isolations, no problem. Let's see if I can waist hoop. Almost. I don't have quite enough space in here, but you can see that it does in fact go around a little bit. I have to work quite hard for it, but that will get easier the more layers we add. So yay, let's keep going. So we have the finished article, we have the finished hula hoop. There were some parts which were a little bit trickier than others, but overall it actually was not hard to do. Like, it's time consuming. I've spent the best part of an afternoon up here kind of crafting this, but I actually really enjoyed it. And now my room is a mess, but that's easy to tidy up. We'll sort that out. No worries. So yeah, here she is. I'm very excited. She's quite sturdy, as you can see. A lot sturdier than when we first started out. She's got loads of strips of sellotape. So sellotape go all the way around, that holds it together. We can see here it's a thickness of 3 pieces of cardboard across. You can see like here, if we can get this. Here, I don't know if you can see that, but that's the seam where I've joined 2 pieces of cardboard together. Or is it here? It's here. So there's actually like a slight gap in the middle. I covered that with sellotape and it all fits in together just fine. I'll take it outside for a little practice run in a bit. I can show you guys some moves and that it does work. So yeah, I'm really excited with this, and it means that anyone who wants to learn any of the moves that we're going to cover in the rest of the workshops can do it. There's really like nothing, you don't need to go and buy a hula hoop, you don't need to make a fancy hula hoop out of tubing. A cardboard hula hoop is fine. It will work. Okay, so there's one or two last things that I want to say before we get into doing some tricks. The first thing is that, voila, this was the center. So if you have kept this and you didn't end up using any of it for your layers for this, you can make another hula hoop that's slightly smaller than this one. You just keep this nice outer circle for the outer layer, and then you draw another inner circle on the inside, and you're halfway to having another hula hoop. So that's one thing that I would say, is that it might be cool to keep your middle bit and keep making hula hoops. The second thing that I want to say is that you can decorate your hula hoop. So paint, pencils, glitter, or maybe not glitter, it might come off, but paint definitely, and you can paint whatever the designs on that you want. I also have coloured tape, so that's what I'm going to do now, is I'm going to add some coloured tape to mine to make it look pretty. To also add some weight to it as well. Coloured tape is really good for adding weight, especially if it's electrical tape. So I'm going to go and get my electrical tape now, and I'm going to cover the hula hoop in tape. But you could use any like coloured tape, any patterned decorative tape that you want. That type of stuff works really well for hoops. Okay, so I've got some tape here. It's yellow with green stripes. Nothing too fancy. I don't have particularly pretty tape right now, but any coloured tape will at least give it like a pretty design. Of course, you can just leave it how it is, take it as far as you want to go. Painting could be fun if you've got any crafting energy left after all of this. I have my tape. Now the way that you need to tape a hula hoop is diagonally. So you want the tape to wrap around it in a diagonal pattern. So you need to start diagonally like this. So stick that on, and then you kind of twist it. Let me pull a bit off, but you can twist it around like that. I don't know if that makes any sense. But you just keep, on both sides that you do, you just keep allowing it to flow on diagonally. Like this. And you can do it much closer together, of course. You can have your stripes being much closer together, but I have another, I have a navy tape as well that I want to get going in between. Maybe crossways, I'm not entirely sure. So yeah, leave as much space as you want. Okay, we've got that done. If you can, try and line up so that the tape goes over the original. It's just a nice added extra if you want. Yeah, there we have it. Our first layer of tape. Starting to jazz it up a little bit. It's not going to look, I don't know, like perfectly clean and pretty at the end, but it just adds a little bit of colour. Makes it a little bit more interesting. I almost used an entire roll of electrical tape just to do this layer, this first layer. So just be aware of that at least one roll of electrical tape to cover a hoop this big. And not even to cover, just to add a little bit of decoration. So now I'm going to go in with the blue. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do it crossways or whether I'm going to do it following the same. Let me see. So we could do it like this. following the same direction, or we could cross it in the opposite direction. But I think it's going to look nicer if it goes in the same direction. So that's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Ugh. Yeah. Like this. Yeah, do your best, it'll be fine. Okay, so here we have it. I've got the blue and the yellow and green stripes on the hoop now. It just looks a little bit funkier, a little bit nicer. You could definitely add one more layer of tape and it would almost cover the cardboard completely. Or you could cross it the other way for an interesting design. So yeah, that is the hula hoop finished. It definitely took all afternoon, but it was fun to make, and we're going to play around with it a little bit now, and we're going to learn some actual hula hooping moves. Okay, so it's actually the following day. It got too late last night to hula hoop outside, which I wanted to do so that I could show you everything, waist hooping and all that. And yeah, it got too dark, so it's the following day and I'm just going to show you a couple of different moves. I'm going to play around with this just for a minute first so you can see everything you can do with the cardboard hula hoop, or some of the things that you can do with the cardboard hula hoop, and then we'll start off maybe with waist hooping. We might also do some isolations, and we'll also do maybe a weave, or at least just hula hooping on our hand. So I'm going to start playing around a little bit. So yes, as you can see, you can do loads of stuff with your cardboard hula hoop and it works really well. So we'll start off with waist hooping. Waist hooping is probably one of the ones that just takes a long time, but it's totally doable with practice. The reason it takes a long time is it just takes a bit of getting used to. You kind of have to train up the muscles that are going to keep the hula hoop up. A lot of the other hoop tricks are just going to be... it's getting very dark, isn't it? I'll go like this again. Yeah, okay, that's better. A lot of the other hula hoop tricks are just going to be coordination. So using your hand in a certain way is going to be how the hula hoop trick works. But for anything that's on body, it's actually your muscles. Your muscles need to build up a little bit and get used to that movement and get used to that rhythm. So yeah, I think that's about it for waist hooping. We want a nice wide stance. So I'll show you first of all. If you can see my feet, socks and sandals, classic. Yeah, you want a nice wide stance like this. If you're too stuck together, you have to move too much. Your hips have to go like crazy big circles. If you've got a nice wide stance, you've got kind of more movement, more balance. It's just better. So we start with the hoop in the front, our hands on either side like this. You can kind of rock over and back a little bit, and then you're going to push and release. So I normally hula hoop to the left. I throw my hula hoop to the left like this. But if it's easier for you, you can throw it to the right like this. Both are good options. So let's start. Now, it's quite dark, isn't it? Hold on, I'll get a bit closer. There we go. Okay, that's better. So, I'll start. Now, for hula hooping for me, I like to hula hoop with my hips going in a round motion. So there's 3 kind of ways that you can hula hoop. You can go the whole way around like this, and it might help you to do some warm-up exercises first if you like. So even without the hula hoop, just going like this, and then back the other way in a full circle. So like hips to the I don't know, if you're thinking about a clock, like you're going 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. That's the way I hula hoop. Some people prefer a little rocking over and back motion, and that little bounce kind of helps them hula hoop. They just go over and back. You could go in a slightly forward and back motion as well, I guess, but that one I feel is a little bit more difficult. So we will stick with the I will stick with the going in a circular motion one. You play around with it a couple of different ways, see what you like. So yeah, like I said, this one you just gotta keep going. Pick it up again, it falls down, pick it up again, it falls down, pick it up again. I promise you, if you stick at this for like half an hour, you will see improvement. So at the beginning you might be like, oh, I can't do it keeps falling down to the ground, I'll never keep it up on my waist. You definitely will. You just have to teach your muscles how to do it. There's kind of only so much I can say about how this move works. It's about your muscles kind of understanding it. So we'll do it one more time. I also, once you get a little bit of practice built up, one of the ways that really will help you keep it up is to start turning in the direction that you hoop in. So remember I said earlier I hoop to the left? I'll show you guys again. I hoop throwing it to my left. You can see it when I'm standing this way. I'm throwing it to my left, and that's how I begin to hoop. And what I just did there was I started walking to the left as well. So, okay, that seems to be better. I've upped the brightness a little bit. So yeah, what I was talking about was moving in the direction of the hoop that you're hula hooping in. So we'll go back so you can see my lovely white socks. You can see how they're moving. So it's forward with the right foot, back with the left, forward with the right foot, back with the left, forward, back, forward, back. And this is while you're hula hooping. This is what it looks like. So basically you can play around with that a little bit as well. It will just give you more time inside of your hoop. What that kind of means is it slows down how fast you have to move your hips. So once you've started to kind of pick it up a little bit, but you're like, oh my god, I'm working so hard, it's like, it's really tough. If you start playing with that walking idea, with that turning idea, it just means that you have to work a little bit less hard with your hips. The hoop slows down, your motion slows down, and it just all becomes a little bit calmer and nicer looking. So yeah, that's the first move that I'm going to teach you guys. Again, like I said, there's not really that much more I can say about it. It's just a matter of practice, but it's so doable, so I would definitely give that one a go. The next move that we're going to learn is hula hooping with our hands. So that's going to look like this. Ta-da! So, first things first, your grip. So your four fingers come on the outside, I guess you could say, of the hoop, and your thumb, hello, goes on the inside. So that's what the grip looks like, you can see. And so you start with the hoop like this. Then you might swing it back and forth a little bit just to get some motion going. And then when you're ready, you let it go. So that kind of means, for me, I'll show you this way as well. So we're doing it the same way. That kind of means that you're going to toss it as it gets to the top. So you ready? 1, 2, toss it as it gets to the top. And then I'll turn back this way. 1, 2, toss it when it gets to the top. And so you might find that it comes onto your wrist or onto your forearm. That's okay, there's no worries with that. Just keep going, keep practicing on your forearm. Loads of people hoop on their forearm, and that's totally fine. The reason why we want to try it and practice getting it on our hand as well is because it leads into loads of cool tricks like doing isolations, like doing weaves, and like doing tosses like this. Ta-da! So yes, all of these things. So we'll go back again. The fingers are on the outside, thumb is on the inside. Back and forth, let it go. So really, one thing I would say about hula hooping is that the hoop goes where your mind goes. So if you're really focusing on your hand and you're thinking about your hands and you're moving your hands, then the hula hoop goes to that place. The hula hoop goes to where the movement is. So we'll go again. If it's on your forearm like this, you just, when the hoop reaches the top like this, just try and stick your hand back in. So I'll have it hula hooping on my forearm like that, and then as the hoop is going up, I'm just thinking about trying to pull my hand back a little bit and just get it in so that it can grab the hoop. So you can keep practicing like that for a little while. The next step is to grab it and let go, like this. So you grab it at the point when the hoop is at the top of its motion. So one of the big things in hula hooping is the awareness of where the hula hoop is at different points. So my hula hoop is up at this moment. My hula hoop is off to the side with all of this space here. My hula hoop is down to the bottom with all of this space here. My hula hoop is off to the side with all of this space here. So when we're doing our hand hula hooping, you catching it at the bottom means your hoop is at the top and you've got all this space here. So practice that grabbing and letting go. So yes, we're grabbing, letting go, grabbing and letting go, grabbing and letting go, like so. And if you're not that far yet, just keep moving the hoop around, whether it's on your hand or your forearm or your bicep. Don't worry about it, because we hoop on every part of the body. So if you're not getting it on the hand, just keep practicing it on the forearm. There'll be other stuff that you can do with that. And if it keeps going up to the bicep, don't worry about it, hula hoop there. Just remember what I was saying, that the hoop goes where the movement is. So if you're like moving your bicep a lot, the hoop is going to tend to go there. If you're kind of moving your forearm a lot, the hoop is going to tend to go there. But if you're really focusing on moving your hand, that's where the hoop is going to tend to be. See the way what I'm moving? Like I can hold everything else still, and it's really just my hand that's moving. So I'll leave you guys to practice that for a little bit as well. Let me see. I think what we could really do is go into a weave now. So we're going to start the next time that we grab it. The aim is going to be to get our body to the other side of the hoop and the hoop to the other side of our body. So I'll just show you for the first time how it looks. We grab and the hoop goes to this side and we go to the other side. So we'll just focus on doing that once first. So we're hooping away, hooping away, hooping away. We grab it, so the hoop is at the back. The hoop is off to the side with all this space here. And then our hand is going to continue moving. So you make a nice arch with your hand. And then you guide it. So this is the hand motion. See the way it is? So you guide it like this. So it comes down this side of your body. And then you can follow it if you like. So, one more time. We're hooping. We grab and follow the motion of the hoop. So our hoop is already spinning in this direction. We want to grab it and just guide it really. You don't even need to grab it too strongly. If you can keep going with the motion, and it goes onto that side of our body. So I'm going to do the action without the hula hoop in my hands. You've got the hoop here like this, and you're going like that. So you start here, palm out, rotate as if you're wiping a screen, rotate your hand, and then the palm will stay facing you, if you can see. Do you see what I mean? So the palm is still facing you. I've had to move the rest of my arm, but my palm is still facing you. So now I'm going to do that with the hoop in my hands. And think of my fingers as the palm now, because my palm is facing this direction behind the hoop. But fingers towards you, fingers still towards you. I've moved my elbow and my arm to follow the hoop. So this is kind of motion that needs to happen. So we've got it going on our hands, grabbing and letting go, grabbing and letting go, grabbing and letting go. And then, when the moment is right, we begin to move the rest of our body in. So we kind of grab it as the hoop goes around the back and guide the hoop to this side of our body. Now we can just follow it if we want, or we can keep going, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. So now this is the hand motion, like this. So it's really a lot in the wrists now this time. The reason why the palm is always facing towards you is because if we were switching the direction of the palm, our hoop has to switch, which we don't want. We want the hoop to stay in the same plane, it's called, because otherwise it gets awkward. You're like flipping, and especially with a cardboard hoop, it's not going to go very well. So again, we've got our palm like this. I'll do a little bit closer. This is what a continuous weave looks like. This is what it's called. It's of course easier if we do it faster, and we can practice it without the hoop in our hands also. It's this little motion. Let's go one more time. Like this. I'll do it front ways so that you can see that the hoop is passing on each side of my body. I'll do it this way as well. Try and see it from every angle and slow it down as much as I can. And we'll do it backwards as well. Okay, so that is hula hooping on our hands. So because we've been working on hula hooping on our hands, we'll maybe do some tosses as well. So maybe we need to try and be a little bit gentle, a little bit careful, because it is a cardboard hula hoop, so it could be potentially prone to damage. But we'll just do little tosses and we'll try and catch them straight away afterwards. So again, you're really thinking about where the hoop is. So we've got our hoop up, space here, hoop to the side, space here, hoop to the bottom, space here, hoop to the side, space here. So we're really thinking where the space is as we're going around. And also where our hand is in contact with the hoop. A nice way to kind of really get used to this is to close your eyes, if you can, and just try and feel where the hoop is with your hands. I always, if I'm trying to get better at a move, I always close my eyes for a while. And it just lets your body kind of get used to where the hoop is. It helps you get used to feeling where things are as opposed to constantly watching it and worrying about where it is. So we're hooping on our hand like so. And then to throw it, we follow our hand with the hoop up. So let me see. Yeah. So I guess the point where we throw it is as the hoop is coming back up again. So the hoop is going around our hand and around our hand and around our hand like this. And then the moment that you throw it, you kind of follow the direction of the hoop. So you follow it like this. Where you send your hand is where the hoop is going to go. So we're hula hooping around in a circle like this, and then our hand follows the hoop at the bottom. So our hand follows it as it goes to the top, and then the point where you throw is as the hoop reaches the bottom and your hand springs to the top, like that. So we're going around and around and around. I'll try and do this as slowly as possible. And then it's at this point when you send your hand straight up in the air. Where you send your hand is where the hoop's going to go. So let's try and be a little bit gentle with it so our cardboard hoop doesn't come crashing down. Like that. And then just try and catch it any which way you can. We'll do it one more time. Then we shoot it from the side. We're going around. Maybe from the back would help you guys best. We're going around. Maybe not. We're going around. And then up. Like that. So yeah, just have a little bit of a play around with each of those moves. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's workshop. I'm sorry if you're somebody that already has a hoop. This workshop may not have been the most informative for you, the most helpful. But maybe if you made a hoop with us anyway, hopefully you just enjoy the process of making your own cardboard hoop. Also, for anyone that's been in my workshops before, I know that we did some of those moves in the first workshop that we did, but I just wanted to take it back to the beginning so that everyone is caught up together. And that workshop we did was quite a while ago, so maybe even if you were in it, you've forgotten some of the bits that we did. So yeah, I think I'm just about going to wrap up this week's workshop. I hope that your cardboard hula hoops turned out okay, and I hope to see you guys again next week, I guess. So have a really, really great week. Have fun with this stuff, with the tricks and the crafting. Yeah, that's it from me. Bye.